Thank you for the introduction and the very kind words. Thank you very much for giving me the honor to present, this topic, which obviously for myself and Dropsafe is very close to our hearts. So if you allow me, I will just share my screen. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, it's perfectly clear.
Okay. So it wouldn't let me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so today I'm going to take you through a presentation. Dropsafe ourselves, we are an OEM. So the presentation will be primarily focused on the technical products that we've developed in order to enhance workplace safety by reducing the risks that dropped objects pose. But I will give you a bit of an introduction to drops. I was made aware that a good number of people who will be attending the presentation are very familiar with drops and the importance of preventing them. But there may be some attendees who are from different industries where drop prevention is possibly a fairly new topic compared to industries like drilling, for example. So if we just get into the introduction, and I've tried to make today's presentation a little bit easier for the questions that will be coming up at the end of the presentation that were just mentioned. So you might see some words are being highlighted in red through today's presentation, and they should give you some ideas of what the questions might be at the end of the presentation. So what are dropped objects? Well, dropped objects are basically an object falling from height. And this could be a number of different objects, whether it is fixed items that could be in a facility, or even loose items that could be being used at height, or even equipment that may be being lifted and transported to another area. All of these types of examples of objects falling are classified under dropped objects. And basically, the industry has defined them as two different types of drops. You either have static drops, where the object falls without any dynamic force being applied to it. So this could be something like a light fixture that is secured at height, for example, in a derrick on a drilling rig. And because of, say, corrosion or poor installation or improper maintenance of the primary attaching bracket, the object then would just fall of its own accord. And that is how we classify one set of dropped objects, which we refer to as static. You also then have dynamic dropped objects. And these are typically when an object is subject to some dynamic force, such as impact from another object or vibration or wind, that would force that object to come loose. Or even just to, if it is a loose item, to then roll or move away from its current location and to fall below. So basically, we think of dropped objects as either a static drop item or a dynamic drop incident. So why is it important to prevent dropped objects? Well, some of these reasons that you see on the screen are fairly obvious. Clearly, the most important is injury to personnel. When I attend meetings at very many customers around the world in a wide range of industries, I always see the sign that safety is our number one priority. And I think at the core of that is always about trying to protect your people. And that is part of the Dropsafe mission as well. As a secondary sort of risk to a dropped object, you could damage equipment. You could also then incur potential project delays if that equipment damage is significant, or if, for example, extensive reporting has to be carried out. There could also be legal consequences, of course, if there is an injury to personnel. Certainly in some countries, then pretty significant fines and legal actions can occur of those injuries. You may also find that there's some environmental damage from certain drops or spills, which could lead to costly cleanups. And also, fairly importantly, is if a company has a fairly poor safety standard, especially around dropped objects, and primarily in industries like drilling, then this could have significant reputational damage and the potential loss of trust from customers who are, for example, contracting the rigs. All of these, I think, sometimes we can really just sum them up by saying it is primarily financial implications, which we're trying to avoid, that are the main driving force behind why we want to prevent dropped objects. So just a little bit more details about how even small objects could potentially become deadly when dropped from not even that significant a height. So the graph you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen here is from Drops Online. This is a body that was set up, a steering committee that was set up 20 odd years ago in the North Sea by a lot of the operators and drilling contractors to try to establish best practice in the industry to prevent dropped objects. So if you look at the graph on the left, it can show the drop height on the vertical axis and the mass of the object falling on the horizontal axis. And if you draw lines up, even something like a 1 kilogram object dropping from just, say, 5 meters could result in a medical treatment case, which may result in some lost time injury or even some extensive reporting to close out that case. But if you then even go up to just a 2 kilogram or even a 4 kilogram weight, dropping it from anywhere between sort of 3 and 5 meters, you're actually getting up to the sort of force at impact that could result in a fatality, especially if the individual is not wearing suitable PPE. So the main thing here is even small objects can become deadly when dropping from a fairly modest height. So Dropsafe, we were established around 15 years ago, a little over. And we primarily established the business to address dropped objects in the drilling industry. So the initiative behind preventing dropped objects has been going for many years. But I guess, unfortunately, even after a concerted effort across a number of industries, we still find today that dropped objects are a leading cause of worksite injuries across many regions of the world. One question I would have is, we always struggle to find, extensive reporting of dropped objects from the Middle East region. So if anyone on the call today does have access to relevant data on dropped objects and their consequences for Kuwait or for the wider region, then we'd be very interested in having access to that information. So just getting into a little bit more about Dropsafe, who we are. As I said, we've been established for a good number of years, and we basically set up to develop a range of products to try to mitigate the risk of dropped objects. Our primary customers when we first established Dropsafe were the offshore drilling contractors, but suddenly what we saw about 10 years or so ago was a lot of the land-based drilling contractors started to adopt the best practices from the offshore sector and really were pretty instrumental in rolling out dropped objects best practice in land drilling as well. What we as a business have seen over the last few years is the focus on preventing dropped objects has spread much wider than just the drilling industry. So today, Dropsafe ourselves, we deal with a lot of refining companies, a lot of chemical plants, extensive business that we do with the mining sectors, especially in Australia, and also a number of sort of adjacent industries like service vessels, marine vessels that often support the oil and gas industry. So the great thing from our perspective is that we really are seeing that more and more companies around the world are focusing on preventing dropped objects. Just a little bit more specific about Dropsafe. As I mentioned, we've been established over 15 years. We actually have a sister company, which we do a lot of stainless steel manufacturing as well. So we have over 20 years experience in designing stainless steel safety systems. Because of our background in drilling, everything we do, every product we design, all of our quality and testing standards are really to make sure that our products can survive the harshest environments. I'm sure people are very familiar who are on the call from the drilling industry that there are very few situations more harsh on products than a drilling rig. As Dropsafe, we're very aware we're a safety company. Therefore, we design, engineer, and manufacture everything in-house. So we feel as a safety company, quality of our products is of the utmost importance to give you, our customers, confidence in our products. And so that's why we will refuse to outsource any of our manufacturing. And again, you may see one of these items here in red, but as you would expect from a safety company, all of our products are extensively tested, third-party and certified wherever possible. Sometimes some of the products we design, there aren't actually any standards in the market, and so we have to come up with the standards ourselves. And then one more important point, especially as we're a safety company dealing with some of the biggest energy companies in the world, we're of course backed by $10 million of product liability insurance. So our customers, have the confidence that if anything, God forbid, were to happen with one of our products, then there's a reputable company standing behind the products and standing behind you. So just getting into the products, and I'll try to make this fairly brief. I know it's late in the evening for many people. So we started off, as I mentioned earlier, designing a product range, which are now known as the Dropsafe nets. We innovated that product solution, as I said, 15 years ago. And certainly we believe we've got the highest quality product in the market. But over the last, let's say, 7 to 8 years, we've worked pretty hard to develop a whole range of products that can help to prevent dropped objects. And I'll get into these in a little bit more detail. So if people are aware of Dropsafe on the call, then you are probably likely to be aware of our Dropsafe nets. So these are secondary retention devices that are designed to enclose and tether overhead fixtures. They're basically stainless steel nets that are designed to encase a fixture at height, for example, a light or a beacon or a CCTV camera, anything that's at risk of falling. We have a net that is designed to encase it and then tie off to the structure. So if the primary attaching points of the fixture were to come loose, then the net is there as a secondary retention device to prevent the item dropping. We have had these products in the market for 15 years. We did innovate and design these, so we were the pioneer in this type of safety solution. But we did upgrade our products a couple of years ago to enhance the safety. So one of the key features that we built into the new Dropsafe nets are a triple action auto locking carabiner. This was primarily to try to make the installation of the net simpler, but also then for safer and reduce some human error that could be associated with installing the product incorrectly. So a quick video here to show you the benefits of the TriSafe carabiner that are supplied with the Dropsafe nets. So on the left-hand side, you'll see just how quick and easy it is to secure a net, for example, with the TriSafe carabiner versus the traditional carabiner you see on the right-hand side, which would have historically been used, which takes 2 hands to operate, which, of course, if you're trying to install nets high up in a derrick or in a warehouse, then is actually very difficult to use and install correctly. So again, just one of the enhanced features that we have innovated in the Dropsafe systems to make them a much higher quality product and ultimately to reduce human error. Just a couple of other features of the Dropsafe products I mentioned earlier. We have 100 different sizes of nets. This is actually critical when you are using safety nets on fixtures to make sure that the net fits snugly around the fixture. Stainless steel is an incredibly strong product, a strong material under a tensile stress, but unfortunately, when a dropped object occurs, it's a dynamic shock load that is absorbed by the stainless steel net. So it's critical to make sure that the drop height is minimized, but also that there's the least amount of slack in the nets as possible. We also have very unique nets for things like CCTV cameras that have specific brackets to prevent the net from obstructing the lens of the camera. And we also offer a wide range of nets for everything from self-retracting lifelines to pipe clamps, and even offer custom solutions if we don't have a net suitable for the fixture you have on site. Let me now just skip on to the barrier system. So what we have heard many years ago were dropped objects through open handrails was a fairly significant safety concern. I think if you drive past even a construction site, you see most construction sites are clad, or buildings are clad in PVC mesh to try and prevent objects falling through open handrails or scaffolding. So Dropsafe designed a specific system suitable for offshore rigs. But actually what we found when we launched this product, we got a lot of interest from land-based facilities, power stations, refineries, chemical plants, and mine sites in particular. So the system is basically a very high-grade polycarbonate barrier system that attaches to existing handrail in a facility. So for example, along elevated walkways or platforms, or even on stairways, or even underneath the staircase, the system can attach very easily into those types of handrails. We often have it reported from especially land-based facilities that many dropped objects occur when people are walking from the work shed where the tools may be kept to the workplace where they're going to do the maintenance of the equipment. And quite often that means going up and down staircases where you would have one hand holding the handrail, and you may not be paying so much attention to the equipment that you're carrying. So staircases are actually a fairly significant risk spot in most facilities where a lot of dropped objects occur. So our barrier system is very simple. It has three basic components: long panels for your long straight sections of handrail, short panels for underneath the stairs or in corners, for example. And then everything is attached with a patented securing device. So part of our design approach here was, how do we actually develop a product that requires no tools for installation or maintenance or removal? Because we know if you have to use a product or install a product at height using tools, then you're ultimately increasing the risk of dropped objects through the installation, maintenance, or removal of the product. So the whole Dropsafe barrier system basically attaches using a patented securing device. So this is a small video. Hopefully everyone sees it playing. But the black band you see is actually a SUS 316 stainless steel band that's plastic coated. And quite simply, you feed the band through the aperture of one of the panels. It goes around the back of your railing or post, irrespective of whether it's a round rail or angle iron or flat bar. The stainless steel band will accommodate the shape. You feed the band through the securing device, lock the lever in place, and then the panel is held securely. And typically on a panel, you would install around 4 to 6 of these securing devices, which actually gives the system enough strength to be able to withstand up to a Category 5 hurricane. Clearly, that's not so relevant in the Middle East, but for sure, for facilities or rigs that are operating in the Gulf of Mexico, Southeast Asia, or the North Sea, then that's a very key consideration. The system is designed to be strong and robust. It will take up to a 10-kilogram sledgehammer, hitting it at 5 meters per second, and it will withstand that type of impact multiple times. It's also very durable. We were aware that we were developing a plastic system and we would have some customers maybe nervous about using plastics. So it was a very extensive development process to find a plastic product that could survive those very harsh offshore environments. So the system we know will last in excess of 10 years, even in a very high UV, high salt exposure environment. And the plastic itself is strong, it's flexible, it's durable. And because it is plastic, then there's no maintenance required because there's no rusting, no corrosion, which means that your life cycle costs of the product are very low versus other solutions. So for example, if you're using PVC mesh in a high UV environment, everyone knows the PVC will degrade roughly in 3 to 6 months. And then you're going to have your crews going out there replacing that PVC netting on a very frequent basis. And that also leads to a lot of industrial waste and a lot of ongoing costs when you opt for a cheaper solution than PVC, such as PVC mesh. So again, we have had a lot of key customers, especially in the land-based facilities, refineries, chemical plants, mining sites, who have used the Dropsafe barrier extensively. Here you can see some examples of a facility that has installed it on the straight sections of handrail. This is actually a power station. Even in the middle section, middle photograph, you can see where the panels are installed around lots of different shapes and sizes of handrailing. And then on the right-hand side, you can see where they've actually then installed it extensively on their staircases. That photograph is about 20 stories up in a boiler unit of a very large power station. So it is a very versatile system. And we do even have some customers, because of the ease of installation and removal, using it as a temporary solution when they have shutdowns and maintenance. They install it, leave it there for a period of time, and then remove it and redeploy it into other areas of the facility where there's different maintenance ongoing. So just a couple more products to take you through. What we found was when we developed the barrier system, we then had customers saying, well, we need some type of product to put on our grating, especially in older facilities. You will find that the grating on the flooring on elevated walkways is quite a large aperture. You often have gaps, especially around things like pipe penetrations, where there is a high risk of objects falling through those gaps in the grating, or even gaps between the grating and say, pipework. So we developed a PVC matting system that is designed to loose lay or to be fitted and secured down to your grating. And the matting itself has a very, very small aperture, which means that you can prevent even small items and small tools from potentially falling through that open grating. It also has other secondary benefits. We designed it with a rougher upper surface, so it has anti-slip properties. It also is designed specifically with that gap so that you don't get any wind loading on it. High winds can obviously pass through, but also with that open design, any spillage of liquids will also then just not accumulate on a solid mat, for example, and become a slip hazard. So the system itself, especially when combined with the Dropsafe barrier, as you see on the right-hand photo, really can give full containment to prevent objects potentially falling through either your open handrails or potentially falling through your grating. Especially when it comes to tools being used at height, or for example, if you have your service teams are disassembling equipment. Quite often it's very difficult to prevent smaller items from potentially falling through your handrail or your grating. And as we saw in the graph earlier, even a small screwdriver from a reasonable height can certainly be deadly. So this type of combination of both systems, especially in those high-risk areas, will certainly give you a very high level of safety against dropped objects. Then just a couple more products, so I won't drag on too long here this evening. We do offer a range of tethering products. So we have our Dropsafe pouches. again, a lot of items like tools, people pay a lot of attention when they're taking them to height to make sure they're tethered. But quite often things like two-way radios, gas detectors, even water bottles, people will be taking them up to work at height, but they don't necessarily pay too much attention to making sure they are appropriately tethered. So we have a range of stainless steel pouches that are designed to work with handheld equipment to prevent that from becoming potential dropped objects. We also have just recently launched a range of tool-specific tethers. These again came off feedback that we got from one of our customers in the US, where they were somewhat dissatisfied with the quality of tool tethers that were available in the market. Their main complaint was that most tool tethers are designed with an old-fashioned carabiner that I showed you earlier that requires the operator to actually screw a nut lock in place for the carabiner to be properly closed. The reality is many operators, when they're working at height, they just don't take the time to screw those nut locks in place, which means that the tools are not actually properly secured, even though they may be tethered. So we designed the carabiner, or redesigned a carabiner, so that it was a proper triple action auto-locking carabiner. So basically, it's a fully 316 stainless steel carabiner, so very corrosion resistant, incredibly strong. We offer it in a couple of different sizes that are more suitable for different weights of tool. But basically, you have to depress both buttons on the left and right-hand side of the carabiner. You have to squeeze them together against some internal springs, and then you have to pull the body of the carabiner down against an external 316 stainless steel spring. When you release the buttons, then the slider automatically shuts. So again, you don't have to rely on the operator to do a secondary manual process of screwing a nut lock into place. And then these carabiners are also very user-friendly because we've integrated a swivel on the end. So if you are using rotating tools, wrenches, or screwdrivers in particular, then the tether is not going to get entangled. And again, when we were doing a lot of our research, one of the things we heard time and time again is operators generally say, whilst we're required to tether tools, we hate doing it because it makes our jobs harder. So what we've tried to do here is develop a carabiner that actually makes their job or reduces how hard their job is whenever they have to tether their tools. And then we do offer the carabiners in a wide range of different tethers for different situations, whether they're bungee cords or webbing lanyards, or even stainless steel slings for certain applications. So again, with the TriSafe carabiner and that wide range of slings, you have a lot of options to make sure tools can be tethered appropriately at height. And then the last product I'll show you today is our range of safety slings. These are primarily used for securing other items at height that may be at risk of falling, that maybe a net is not suitable for an application. So for example, we often hear on a lot of offshore rigs, junction box doors will often corrode the hinges, where the door may actually become a dropped object. So clearly you wouldn't put a net around the whole junction box, but you may want to have an independent sling tying off the junction box door to the structure. Or for example, again, swing gates. We often see, especially with metal swing gates, the hinges will corrode over time, and there is a high risk of the actual swing gate itself becoming a dropped object. So again, you want to have something like a sling attaching to that swing gate, just in case that primary attaching point, the hinges, were to fail, then you know that the sling is there to prevent the gate from becoming a dropped object. We also do offer a helideck system, but from what I understand of the Kuwait market, I think most of the people on the call today would be more linked to land-based drilling or to land-based facilities. So I won't get into the helideck system too extensively, but if anyone does require further information on this system, then I'm happy to provide that. So that's the end of my presentation today. I apologize if I was rushing through it, but normally I would stop and take questions as we're going through. But if anyone does have any questions now, please feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I'm always available. I travel extensively at the moment, as was mentioned earlier. I'm in Saudi Arabia, visiting a number of customers here, and I'm hoping to actually get to Kuwait in the next couple of months to spend some time with some of our key customers in that market as well. So either feel free to ask questions now if there is time, or please feel free to take down my details and send me an email, and I'll be happy to share more information with you.
Yeah, if anyone want to, thank you, Mike, for that. That was a wonderful presentation, and we came to know about various products offered by Dropsafe. So we have some couple of questions, I think, in a chat box. We have a question from Mr. Dinanath Harikumar. Any products related to keep tools safely at height, like tool bags, trays, etc.? Any productivity protection item? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very good question. You know, tools are one of the primary objects you're trying to prevent from falling. So Dropsafe ourselves, obviously, we manufacture the tethering, and possibly at some point in the future, we'll manufacture a range of tool bags as well as we build out that range. But today, what I would suggest everyone on the call have a look at is stop drop tooling. They are the premium supplier of drop prevention toolkits in the drilling industry. And they also have a range of tool bags as well. So it's very important when you're trying to have a comprehensive tool management process that you're not just looking at the tethering of the tools, but you're looking at the quality of the tool to make sure that it doesn't disassemble during its use, but also making sure that the tools are transported to and from the work site safely. Clearly, tool bags are important, but also the management of the tools to make sure those tools aren't being left out on the work site after the work has been done. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to look at stop drop tooling. They have a great range of products, and I believe they're also available in Kuwait.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for that. And Santosh Joseph has commented, any simple toolkit, multinational tools like Jabber. Okay. There is a question from Mr. Sorin asking for any solution for people falling near belly board on derrick.
Unfortunately,
the rigs, yeah.
Yeah, I would just have to say that we're not an expert in fall prevention for people. And so I think, yeah, it would be difficult for me to answer that question just because it's really not a product category that we deal with. But I'm happy to do some research and find out, reputable groups out there that offer solutions and share that with you if you want to share the question with me or the contact person with me.
Sure, thanks. There is another one from Mr. Yash. Is the matting manufactured according to size provision by the customer?
We manufacture the matting in rolls. So it comes in a roll format, and the rolls are about 1 meter wide and about 12 meters long. The matting itself can be cut to size if you need to fit it to specific areas at the facility. So it's very easy to cut with side cutters. And you can just roll it out, lay it in place, and cut it to shape if you need to. Some of our customers, we offer 3 different grades of the matting: a heavy duty, a medium weight, and a lightweight matting. Some of our customers will buy the 12-meter rolls of the lightweight mat, and then they cut them into 1 meter by 3 meter rolls to use as a temporary mat, to be able to have the operators inside the facility to be able to just go to the work site, roll out the mat, and then prevent any objects falling through. So it's a very versatile system, but basically we supply it in 12-meter rolls, 1 meter wide, which you can cut on site to whatever shape you want.
Great. That is a very customizable as per our requirement. That's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Very nice one. Yeah. I think there is no more other questions. Mr. Ramana.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mike. It was a wonderful presentation, and we have recording of this video also for our members availability. And now it's the time for the quiz. Mr. Prabhis will take care. And
sorry, I
yeah.
would just, if I could just one more thing. I hope to be back or in Kuwait soon. So hopefully I get the chance to meet a lot of the people on the call next time we come into Kuwait. And I'd just like to put it out there, if there are customers who are looking to see any of the products in real life, or even have samples of the products, then please always feel free to reach out to us. Sometimes the online presentations are a little bit difficult to understand the products, and so we're always very happy to provide samples free of charge to customers so they can really see the quality of the products and their application on their actual work site. So yeah, that's an offer from us to anyone who's on the call. Feel free to reach out to arrange some samples. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mike. Prabhiji.